Okay, another crack at this. Trying to play by the actual rules this time and hopefully not messing up too terribly, even though my mental state is definitely less than optimal. Let's take a look at what our spread is. First of all, different set of companies. A couple of interesting things I saw. This is the first time I've played without the NNE or the NGC. Or the WVR for that matter. So, you always get a mix-up of different companies. It's one of the neat things about this is that you have a different starting setup to analyze each time you play. How much are these initial runs going to be worth is one of the questions that I have to assess before I make any bids on the starting capital. I'm going to play with 6 players again, same reasons. Same reasoning that I used last game, except this time we're going to see how it is supposed to work, as opposed to, I'm just wondering if I have the right number of shares everywhere. It looks like I do. As opposed to, that horrifically slow start that the game ended up in, that ended up handcuffing certain players, I felt, into certain decision making. This is because of the actual rules allows you a more flexible train purchasing. You can buy as many train. Well, you can run as many trains as you like as long as you have a permit for that kind of train. This also changes some of the nature of some of the possible mergers. There's very little reason to merge into a company maybe if it has the same kind of permit as you already do, or less advantage to it. Let's see what we got. We got the FDR with an express. Now the initial express is a 2, which would mean the best I can run for is 70, 90 off the bat. Okay. The EUR, which starts here with an express, and that's going to be looking at with a local. A local's kind of interesting because it takes a while for a local to run. So, it has an initial potential run here of 40, 70. But it could build up that 40, 80, and 60 is 140. So it's actually a very enticing purchase. Although its run is a little less than this one, the fact that it could conceivably build this up, if it's allowed to, we'll see, because there's also the ESR, which is out. But if we are able to build something like that up, not only would we be getting a bigger run, off of those starting trains, although unlike the last time we played, it's unlikely that that starting run will be frozen in time in quite the same way, but also be able to get local, the subsidy money that comes in for the locals, which is quite impressive in terms of helping things. Another local at the L and E, which is over here, again, a capability to make an initial run of 50, which is garbage, right? But I can lay both tracks immediately and then start building out towards here, which might or might not work. We've got the WNR, which could interfere with that. The ESR is running a freight. The ESR has a freight with a 1. That's not optimal, because the best I can do is that 70 originally. But remember, freight trains are able to expand better than other trains. So, because buying 2 freight trains, I'd be able to run a 3 freight instead of, like a 2 and a 2-3 where I have to skip one of the towns or something like that. And even a 2 freight is a possibility. That would get me 1, 2 into here, which would give me 70, 11, 14 a share with 2 choo-choos. Which sounds good, but in this game maybe not so good. The WSTL has a freight over here. That's a nice little hookup but it's a shitty payoff initially, even though it turns quite good eventually. So, I mean, that's a 60 initially, which is hardly better than I'd be getting off of this. But if I can get a quick run to here, the money starts getting quite good. And that would be a 1, 2, 3 freight train. So if I can get an A and a B train on that, that runs up to 80, 120, 180. Which is pretty sweet compared to the 140 I think we were looking at before. The YNN is running a local here. Now this is kind of a neat little area for a local. Again, ENR or WNR is in my way there, but I do have kind of a nice little run set up there. It might also get in the way of one of the other companies. The WNR, so far nothing's just shining the way the NNE was in my view. There are some iffier things. The WNR is up here. It's running a freight. That's kind of nice. 80 and 20 to begin with. 100. Probably the best starting money that we're going to see, unless we see some London money being made right away, which I don't think I see. And then capacity to extend that and get something better. SVR. SVR is right here. Oh, this is an express with London. So a 2-train express could run down to here and create 120. That's probably the best run. Let's look at the next one. ENH. ENH is way back here. The ENH sucked last time. It looks like it's kind of shitty this time again. We're looking at a 70 initially, but again, the freight can extend that and make that better fairly quickly if I'm willing to invest in more than one train. So yeah, other than the SVR looks like it's the sweetheart right now. Okay, so 370 is sort of the biggest maximum bid I can throw into something. That'll get me a 74, 740 starting capital with a chartered company if I'm going to put a bid in. That means that there's up to 30 bucks a bid that can be thrown in order to get something, you know, at sort of that optimal starting point, if it's going to be a chartered company. There might be good reasons not to start chartered companies. There is room for 2 charters here again, but with six players, we're looking at 54 times 5, assuming you float it on your own, is 270. There's not going to be enough money, and we discussed this before, to float 2 different charters, so there's no need for both of these to exist in the 6-player game. Only in lesser numbers does that start becoming of worth. So, I don't know where I'm going to start with the bidding, but I'm going to be doing die rolling, and, you know, you can look at my previous unintended variant videos to see how I represent things, why you know, I do certain things on the boards, etc. If you care about that. If you just care about the play, you know, you gotta kind of hope that I don't screw up again. First 2 players figured, well, we've got priority on our side, we'll be able to start something quickly, let's see what people put up. Kind of an iffy thing, because you could put the SVR up for 30 and say, you know, that's a fair bid. Well, that's what he did. However, 2 more people jumped in the bid. He did, and it went quite raucous and went up to a $60 bid for it, which seems quite high to me. I mean, you only have $400, and he's already thrown himself quite a bit in hock to get this line. It is definitely the best of the lines, though, at this point. And it may be the only one that's really worth bidding up. We'll see. I got to figure out what that starting value is going to be with that payout. There were a couple of options, some of which involved getting 6 shares of it instead of 5, which, you know, creates a less healthy company, but more cash coming into your hands, which is of course great. The calculator's having some trouble here. 340 divided by 5 works fine, times 5, great. Divide that by 6, and I get something unbelievable. Okay, some of what I would consider truly idiotic bidding was started by the SVR there. ESR went for, I think, the same amount. I don't know why he wanted it so much. We'll see, I guess. WNR went for $5, which is great. It went for, it's the biggest run initially, and he's got 74 shares, so you can buy maybe that B train fairly early or something. EUR also went for, I think, too big a bid. He went for he went only 58 a share. That gets him 5 shares though, plus enough money in the stock round to buy a share of SVR, which he thought was kind of cool. Yeah, let's get in on the thing that's going to make the best money. Does the SVR make the best money? Yeah, maybe not right away though. Let me see. It's running the 2 Express. Yeah, it'll be able to slide right in there for 120, which is indeed the best money, but the WNR isn't that far behind. That leaves 2 people who did not want to charter a company initially. They're going to do non-chartered companies. They were both involved. Well, yeah, they were both involved in bidding. You can see their money's been broken up, but at this point they think, hey, the companies are all about the same. Why spend extra money and why charter? There's big advantages to the non-chartered companies in terms of the flow of capital going in and stock value going up. So you end up getting more money overall if you go with partial cap. Okay, and with 2 people floating non-chartered corporations, both did the same thing in terms of cost, etc. Setting them at a par of 78, which means only a 74 if they refinance, but it's okay. They're allowed to place their par here. And as far as I understand, they both also bought a total of 4 dots. The FDR definitely needed 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? The YNN I was a little harder pressed on. 1, 2, 3, but maybe 4. Hard to tell. The thing is, starting this early, I might be merging and getting dots I need, but on the other hand, if I'm not going to merge early or whatever, that's okay. It's a local, so it should be able to generate some revenue. So it's a little easier job than the FDR, which I'm kind of iffy in both cases with getting that many dots because they're $40 each. Yes, they're cheaper than these suckers, but I'm also starting with less cash initially, although there's more available later. As you can see, the shares are in the company. This guy picked up his SVR. This guy was hoping something went for 54, and nobody gave him that bonus. Oh well. He tried. Let me make sure he's got the right money there. Well, I have to assume he put a bid in. I have to assume he got this value right. Yeah, okay. So that's going to push us to the stock round. We're in yellows only. And we start out with the uncharteds. The first question is this a safe track lay for the FDR? It may not be because somebody else gets to lay this end track. I can't lay it right away. However, the end has to put a blank here, which means I'll be connected. So yes, it is a safe track lay. How many trains? Yeah. $100 gets me a 90 run. $200 gets me a 90 plus another 40. 130. How many A's are there? Well, there are 7 of them. Which means we're probably not going to see that warranty issue come into play. But I am highly dubious of the idea of running 2 of them. It's just not that big a payoff. It's the same kind of slowness that I saw in the other game. It's not that big a payoff to add a city. But we're going to go for it. because we're dicks. I don't know. Yeah, so we'll buy 2 of these. I don't think this is wise, but the dice spoke, man. And that will allow us to run from here to here and here to here. We'll be making more money than we would otherwise, and we have a warranty on each of those, just in case the train rush gets really insane. I don't think it will. Do I want to buy more warranties? No, I don't have money. Okay. Y and N, I don't know. I'll talk about everything at the end of the turn. Well, I might as well talk a little bit before I finish up, although I don't have much left. Y and N, I think, was next. They ran a track going up to here. I don't want to go straight into here. I want to go here. The idea was I could go from here to here or here to here. I may be denied both of those if I'm really screwed over by the WNR, though. And that's going to suck ass. In which case I'll be running a little doinker between these. Unless the green track comes out, which it looks like it's going to because somebody bought a second train. I'm not quite sure why the FDR chose to do that. They're making life easier on some other companies, you'll see. So the WNR is the next one. I only bought a single freight. I'm not going to gain that much by being able to go 1-2. I need a two freight train to add to that. And I have no desire to rush the trains. Everybody's going to get 1 train at least. I'm probably going to see the EUR end up buying a second train, but we'll see. It may not. It may not want 2 locals. That seems a little painful, although it has a skip train, so that's kind of sweet. SVR is next. SVR also only wants a single train because they can run this. They know they can get into here, but they would rather probably get into Colchester and then there. I'm not sure. They've got the big express. They would like to hit those extra cities, but then again, they probably also want to hit a port eventually. So I don't have a lot of dots on the SVR either, so I'm going to need a merger for that to work. So yeah. And what does that put me on? That puts me on the ESR, which had to lay this track. The only track it can lay. Freight train. It's got an actually interesting case. So I can run a 1 or a 1-2. And definitely would be interested in getting the 2 if it wasn't clear that the B's were going to come out. But the B's are going to come out, and that kind of changes the nature of things. Because I would rather run 1, 2, 3 than 2. And yeah, I don't know. With that freight train, I probably want this dot, but then that means I don't have room for a dot there, and now painful. So I don't know. London's worth more than the Denmark run, and so yeah, I think I'm just gonna buy a single freight train with them. I probably would have been more strongly considering a second train. And I'm not gonna double warranty it. I don't think we're gonna get to the 3s in the next couple runs the way things are falling. Nobody's really going absolutely batshit. That's the closest, and everybody else is just going 1 train. So yeah. And the EUR has to lay its end track, and it has to think about what it wants to do. It's running a local. It'll be a local 2. It probably wants to grab another train and figure out how that works. I would call some track foo here, laying like this, so I don't connect to anybody. Lots of people want to connect to me. Let them do it. That might involve upgrading the end. It might involve somebody building the track I want. All kinds of nice things available to me. The SVR is running an Express, so they don't really care about the doinks, but they might jag in here. They might upgrade to get the same effect. We'll see. What we'd really like to do is get this run going, which is part of why we went the way we did, and then maybe this run. We've got 2 trains with no hookup. That's kind of interesting. And what happened with the ESR? Why didn't that fall back? Yeah, I just forgot to move it, that's all. Okay, and now we go back down here. Nobody's got the money for that, so we'll be throwing ourselves to a stock round, and honestly, nobody has the money for that either. Except this is in the wrong place. It should be over here with the SVR owner. I don't think anybody wants to sell. They'll just be losing money at this point. So we'll be going up here, and the green track is available, so we are up to 2 operating rounds between each stock round. The FDR runs and upgrades this to make sure it can get its dot in there real quick. There were 2 other potential dot holders, so I wanted to make sure I take advantage of my early positioning. That means less money, only 15 a share. That's enough to move them forward twice. But here's where the 2 trains kind of suck. Now I don't have enough money to buy a B train, and I kind of really need one, otherwise I'm going to crash both my trains here, but we shall see. NR not able to hook up directly, so they had to lay this track and run a crappy little 40 train. Next turn I can upgrade and start getting my local running a little better. Not enough cash on board to buy another choo-choo. Didn't even move forward. Didn't want to pay money out of the treasury. I don't have enough in there at this point in the game. I started not with enough money because it's not a chartered company. That's why. WNR running nicely, except, yeah. I get confused by these tokens that look... so the home base token, which has to be differentiated, but the fact that it looks different is confusing because there are similar colors. There's so many companies in the game. I don't think it's a problem that could have been solved. It's just the nature of the game, and possibly if this was done originally with the wooden discs, the thickness of the discs and the differentiation of the color of the wooden pieces would have been better than the counters are. Might be a reason to go out and buy myself some discs and stickers and you know, try to make a better version of it. So far I've been able to deal. I've made a couple of errors based on that, but nothing as bad as I've made in my last play. That brings us to the SVR, who's troubled. So the SVR's plan was, hey, a run to London, 12 bucks a share, yippee-ki-yay. The problem is, doing that means giving up on the choice of dotting here. Now I only have 2 additional dots, and I'm not sure the London dot, the dot here is that important. So I'm going to go ahead with the London dot and make the run. Remember, that's both my dot and my track lay, so that's kind of an expensive piece. But I'm going to go ahead and make my 12 run. What does that mean? Do I want to buy another choo-choo? Well, again, if I don't buy the 2-3, then I'm in danger with the 3, with the C train killing me. So I'm very tempted to do so, even if I end up having to run up to some garbage like this instead of getting an extra 8 a share. Right now I'll be pulling 12 a share, if I can find the right company. And yes, I have the other companies put away, and I'm going to pay that out, I guess. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's crap money. Sure. If I don't pay that out, hold on. If I don't make the 12 a share, if I instead cut down to here for 8 a share, which is almost as good, It still moves me forward. I actually get to put a dot here, and then that 2-3 train can run both of these. So I'm gonna do that instead. I think it's better in the long run if I want to buy that additional train. Probably screwing things up for the locals, but that's not my problem. Here is in an ugly pickle. Let me see what we've got facing us. EUR is a local, they're not going to be going down here. FDR already has this track. SVR has one more token. I don't think, they're not that interested in port moves, although the ports are the most valuable location, so I can't be sure, but I think they need this more. There's likelihood they'll be able to get out one of those two ports eventually. Right now they're running a 2 and a 2 and a 3 that puts them to here, and then to here, and that's pretty good. The ESR really needs this dot in the future, I think. But where they're in trouble is they don't get to London. They don't get to London by a long shot. Remember, you can't just curve in here, so I would have to connect up through here or coming through here or something to get to London. Now, that's a painful walk. Eventually this upgrades and maybe I get the dot, but what are the chances? I don't know. It's you know, if I end up floating this and smashing my two companies together, that works. But again, that's another freight company, not the best synergy. So I really don't know what's going on. I'm not thrilled with what I'm getting, even though I'm getting decent initial run. It's not great. And now the question comes to, do I buy another choo-choo? And I think not, because I am a fully capitalized company and I have butt kiss for money. How did this happen? How do these companies get so little money? I don't know if that even makes sense. So I had 680 bucks. I bought a train and I paid 180, and that I should have another 100 bucks. What the fuck? That's what I'm not seeing here. I had better look at the money that all my fully capped companies have, but I feel like I'm 100 bucks short here, and I have too much fucking money on this one. 300, 480 plus 310 puts me to 790. I'm like 50 bucks over here. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I mean, there's nothing else that's going on. They're not gaining money from anything else. These aren't locals. I don't know what the hell. God damn it. And what about this one? 3, 4, 5, 680. This one's right, and this one's right. This one's got like 50 bucks too much. And this one is 100 bucks too little. Now that 100 bucks too little makes sense. I may have paid for this train twice or something, or just dealt myself wrong. But this, I have no idea. No, you don't have to pay for track. You don't. I don't know. Oh shit! So much recently, and I played 21 Moon recently, where you do have to pay for that second yellow tile, and I wanted to make sure that that wasn't the case. But yeah, I don't know what's going on. So with all this cash, well, this is 280. If I'm not the guy who breaks this, I fall behind. But I really don't know whether I want a 2 and a 1. That gives me 1, 2, 3. But then I end up going up to a 2 and a 3, which is a 5, which is pretty decent, and I can start making some ground with that. Yeah. Gonna need to swallow at some point. I don't know. Odd we buy it, even we don't. We're going to hold. All right. That puts us over to the EUR, who bought the two big trains to begin with. What happened? No, I don't. Never mind. All right. What I was thinking was that I stole $50 from here, put it there in the run or something, and put the 100 in there. So I lost $100 here and gained 50 here. But no, that doesn't make sense. But it may make sense with someone else. I don't know. Alrighty, and the EUR runs for a big 18 because it's got two trains running. I'm laying some track to head up this way, but right now I'm running this and that because I couldn't hook anything up. Now, by my way of seeing things, a sharp hook into here should be legitimate, and I really don't like that because I'm actually going from the endpoint to the same endpoint. So that in particular would really bother me. Actually, I'm not. I'd be going from here, which doesn't generate revenue, through here to generate revenue, and cut back and use that as an endpoint. I don't want to do that because it makes my progress worse as I go forward. Like, I would rather hit another train. So here's the thing. I can hit from here to here and 1, 2, 3 if I do things right. So that's kind of appealing, or even better. Because I'm not going to be able to hit these guys. They're linked into this. So that's that. And so those are the payouts. Pretty nice. Went forward 3 with the EUR. For whatever that's worth, I'm probably going to have to swallow in order to get to the next level of train. But that's okay. He's making some good money. He's also putting aside $50 each run as long as the A train is around. The problem is, yeah, there's a fair amount of B's left. There's 3 B's left. That's I don't feel too threatened right now. And this game is really harsh for dickiness. Let's just put it that way. So the FDR went first. I could have set up so that I could drop my token in London, but it looks like London's pretty open right now. The SVR hasn't even dropped its yet. I don't see more than 4 companies that can put a token there, and some of them don't really want to right now. So I can hold on that, upgrade, and make a little bit more money. Oh, well, actually, I don't know that I did make more money. I see 15 a share from upgrading this. Why did that not work? Because I made too little. 10 should be 16 a share. I should get another $5 in each of those. And no, you're allowed to run for less, so you know the mistake couldn't have been caught by someone else, but it was trying to figure out why there was an error. But then we go to the WNR, and oh, sorry, you can't enter. And that means it's locked out until Brown. And the YNN with its local train is going the wrong way. It's got no way. It can't come curving out of here or anything like that. It can't come curving out of here. It's got no choices. All it could do is upgrade here and then cut across and then drop a dot and try to make up. But it's just basically screwed because there's another company that had the drop on it. Ouch. See stuff like that in 1830, no question, like the Penn B&O interactions and stuff like that, where there's an important space and somebody can really get shut down. This feels a little harsher, but it's just really, you know, the particular companies, the prices they started at, it's what happened, you know, whatever. Poor YNN is trying to make its way out somewhere. I don't know why. It can't run this. It should be expanding its track, but it really doesn't have a whole hell of a lot it can do. It doesn't have the money to buy trains, to try to rush them out and get to Browns. Not that it'll be in good shape if that happens, because its track is so fucked already. but it's basically on a death spiral as far as I can see. SVR made its hookup, big run at 24, paid out because I think I got time to do my swallow to buy that. I could find out I'm wrong, and that would suck big. I would like that 240, but I want this money to reinvest in the next stock round that's coming up. So yeah, I'm like, I don't think the trains are gonna fall quite yet. And went forward 3. That means this will probably end up selling. It also means, hey, there's a good arbitrage on SVRs, so there's a good chance that that's gonna sell out. Actually, this might not sell. He's making good money on it, but he knows it's gonna swallow at some point. Yep. Okay, and the final decisions for this operating round. Let's see, who did we hit? We did the ESR. I think everything else. I'm trying to remember where, whether I did any video before this, where I stopped. But the ESR ended up buying that second train anyway. Should have done it last time, but the way they're coming out, it's so slow. I need to make that extra money. So that 12 is going to go up to, I think, a 19. 6 and 7 is 13. 1, 2, 3. 13 plus 6, because I'm hitting a port, goes to 19. Not dropping. See, the problem is I don't know that I want this dot. I'm screwed if I don't have it now. But in the long run, I'm not going to make it to... Yeah, I think I do. Okay. And then the EUR, well, somebody built some of the track I wanted, so they pushed right up there. I haven't made the decision on a dot there. I only have a local train. I could buy myself my way into London for a possible merger, which is very appealing. On the other hand, there's important stuff up here that I kind of don't want to get closed out of, because right now I'm running 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, counting these two. That ran for 23 a share, paid that out. Same reasons the SVR paid out its big run. There's a couple of trains left. If I get my stock value up, I'm going to get a run before most anything that starts. Also put a lot of cash in my pocket, which will be money I can build stuff with. Almost as good a run as the SVR. Had a better run before, have this extra share. So there's a lot of good stuff going on. In fact, this is the one person who has the extra share. He started so low, he was able to buy the SVR share. He engineered it that way. So I think we go down here. I don't know. This guy might have enough money to start another corporation already. That would be an interesting thing. It takes 160 something to buy one share of a the presidency of a chartered company to begin with. Once you do that, you still have to buy 2 more shares. You're committed to buying 50% of the company. I don't want to sell any of my own stock, but I am willing to sell that SVR, and that's gotten, well, it's gotten up to a big 90, so I don't know. But that could be a couple of shares. At 54 each, that could be the difference there. So we'll see. I thought I have enough money if I sell that SVR to start something at 66, which, I don't have to float it as a fully capitalized company. I don't have to charter it. I could float it as at 66, 65, as a non-chartered company. That would give it the same 62 for if it refinances. And there are a couple companies that I'm interested in. The WSTL and the E&H are the two that I'm most interested in for the following reason. Because I would have a freight train then. And both of them are close to hooking up. In fact, the E&H is a little closer. So that's appealing. The problem with the E&H is that I've got an end that I probably want to go through, although I could also go through here. So I could run track, well no, my first track could be here. My second track could be these or this, you know, however I want to do it. And I'm kind of interested in this idea. I think I would rather, do I want shares or no? That's the big question. Do I need $620 right off? Or do I want to have shares available and only have, you know, 300 and something in my capitalization? And do I want another B train? Because I have opened up these additional locations to purchase. I don't know. A lot of money sounds like a good idea comparatively. However, a swallow or whatever would do me some good. So I don't know. So the player with the EUR is doing pretty well, so doesn't particularly desire to push the trains out too hard. Buying yet another B is painful enough. Certainly doesn't want to buy two of them, which would drive out some of his value. So he decides to start this as partial cap at the 65, which is a 62 par in case that matters. And doesn't have a whole hell of a lot of extra cash because I bought an extra token for that. Couldn't sweep that all up. You have to buy it one certificate at a time if you're not chartering them. For whatever that matters. I don't know how big a deal that is. Basically, you're able to guarantee yourself your 50% or whatever if if you buy it all during charter, and then you can be passing, but that's not too good. Other people have pretty much picked up SVRs and EURs, and you can see, you know, they were the best on the arbitrage, and they were making the best money. So, you know, their swallow situation doesn't seem particularly worse than the WVRs or WNRs. Sorry, too many companies with too many similar names. So that's, you know, yeah, they're a little worse off, perhaps. I don't know, this is about the same. That's getting a little weak. But yeah, I mean, all these companies are going to have to swallow at some point or another. So might as well get the one that's in the best shape. The one problem with the EUR is it was obvious that it's going to merge. Probably having two shares of it was a mistake. He could have almost certainly had an SVR instead. Poor YNN owner, he's just going into hell. I mean, he's got $50, not enough to buy a share of anything. And sees no future. He's been pretty much knocked out of the game already. Just, you know, didn't see that he was going to get locked out. And it wouldn't necessarily have happened. You know, the WNR could have been nice to him. But my view on this is always, if you can knock a player out of the game, do it, man. Especially if it's not really costing you, you know. In this case, I don't see any reason to let him survive. You know? So he's on a path to hell. Everyone else looks like they're doing okay. The ESR delaying a turn on that freight train, there was definitely a cost to that. That was an error. He should have bought it right away, or not bought it. But just because you make a decision at one point doesn't mean you're stuck with it forever, even though it clearly would have been better to do it earlier, and it's not obvious that buying it now is the good move. Like, it's a matter of like, kind of like continuing to throw money down a path that isn't working. At some point or another, you have to be willing to say, yeah, I made an error. Maybe I can recover from it, and sure, I probably won't get first place, but maybe I can get something else. Or maybe things will turn up nicely. This is kind of interesting because that is not a healthy company. But the EUR might be able to do it some good, linking up. We get the freight train and we get that synergy going, and that sounds really appealing to me. But right now, this is not good enough to last on its own. It's just, it might end up sucking money, and maybe I should have floated it at the 620 and just taken that cash to begin with instead. But this provides me with some valuation in the future that maybe, is worth more than it would be. The only problem with that is this is money that's going to get halved. So this 50%, I'm not going to have 50% in whatever the merged company is. The other thing is I almost certainly want this as my capital and not this. Okay. That's just something to keep in mind. But anyway, we're off to the tracks. Still in the greens. Okay. The FDR opens up its route to London. It's hoping to be able to drop one of its dots in there and buys itself a train, which is going to boost its run tremendously. Now it can run 1, 2. I guess 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, and that's going to add, another 210 to it if the C is out yet already. Otherwise 160. So, but it at least doubles its payout. So that's really sweet. With 5 shares in there, nobody saw it as, the comer. Nobody bought its shares. Well, now it's going to unleash and do quite well. A lot of swallowing going on. People building up for their next train. The YNN didn't swallow, paid out, but used the cash that it's collected up to buy another train. The reason being, I'm about to crash my train, and that would be very painful if I did not buy one. However, that opens up so that the E&H can just buy a C train, which it's going to have some issues with. It's going to have to release some shares in order to do that. It was kind of counting on getting that B train, I guess. I don't know. Conceivably, I don't think I'm allowed to buy. I don't want a local train anyway, but I don't think I'm even allowed to buy a train off the EUR because I'm out of train right now. I certainly don't want to merge. So yeah, look that up. I would have been allowed to buy one, so I could have bought one on the EUR if I really wanted this one, but I was kind of counting on nobody buying that last B train, and I'm okay. It's not a terrible thing to have to sell some shares. It's just those shares would have been valuable, and that's going to interfere with my ability to merge. Now, given that I want the capital to be over here and not over here, I can't do the merge immediately, but I can do it in the next operating round. Actually, I'm disconnected. The YNN cut me off over here. Wow, they really screwed me over in a couple of different ways. So I may not want to play this. I may want to set up my merge instead because I'm really set up for this line. I don't need this one as much. I don't know. Let me think. Kind of a bummer I hadn't realized. There are three types of Y track. One is that, one is that, and one is this. Those are my only choices. I got a tight curve here, which means I can go somewhere I don't want to go, either this way or that way, with that one. And with this one, I can go like this. Yeah, not very good. Or I can go like this, which isn't very good. Or up like this. The tight curve limits me completely. The broad curve is less limiting. But yeah, I fucked it up, didn't I? That makes it so that I don't have an easy connection going in. Neat. With the purchase of that freight train, this is what I decided on. It lets me get in this way at least. Maybe. The days of early big money are done. Everybody's down to one train across the board. But with those swallows, a lot of the companies are in a position where they can buy themselves one of these 3 trains or C trains. We're also at the bigger money for things like London and the ports and everything, which is a big deal for the people who have them. This one's probably the biggest jump, right? $50 there. I mean, this is $50 too, but yeah, this one's kind of magical. Like the Midlands goes from crap to decent, you know? I mean, by crap, it's like there are regular track that are as good as that in the B era, or better than that in the B era. But as soon as you can get into the C era, it looks like the off-board locations become pretty golden across the board. It's just how good do you want them and how many of them can you hit with each train. Okay, that's going to push us down one. Not a lot of money getting made this turn. People are glad they did their swallow this time instead of like trying to drag it out. They'd be really hurting if they had. Look at a couple companies at a time. First, the FDR goes. Runs its little express. It hooks up London now. And it's making good money still. 21 a share. Paying out because I got lots of shares in there. Yum, yum, yum. Someday I'll have enough for a train, I hope. So, obviously, just running at 21 probably isn't going to get me a lot of money real quick. Although it could, I mean, but I have 5 shares that I can buy out of there that are now at 128 each. So I can save this company all on its own by buying those shares out. And that's the advantage of the non-chartered company. If you can get it running nicely, because it's partially capitalized and it has those shares in there, it gets that additional share value. And I can make choices as to when I want to buy them out. Of course, other people might buy them out before I want to, but whatever. There's no arbitrage on them. So, you know, the WNRs and ESRs are potentially going to be at a higher value. Over to the WNR, they did not swallow. They had done that before and bought themselves a train. But you know what? I forgot to lay track. So I got to think what I'm going to use for that train. But I bought the big three freight train. So now I'll be able to go 1, 2, 3... 4, 5. I mean, I'm not really getting a big advantage out of this. But of course, when the 2 goes away, I make it to here, which is important. And maybe that's all I need. Although the extra $60 is clearly worthwhile. 1, 2, 3, 4. Versus 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay, so yes, this game has a train rush. EUR picked up a 3 local. Local's really awesome because the more hexes I hit, the more cash I throw into my treasury. So even though it's a capitalized company, I'm getting additional money in there, getting that extra train, 280 seems pretty cheap. Granted, it's a temporary train, but here's the problem. The D is not permanent either, even though it looks it to me. It's got that brown on it, right? So then my hard call here is with the SVR, which managed to run for 21 a share, just like the FDR. And no, it did not. Yes, it did. Okay. Got it confused with the red. And I did not lay any track yet. I have to make a decision. I always kind of figure things half-assed backwards. But here's the question. Is that 3 local worth buying? It would get me into the permanent trains. That's the advantage of it. And it's kind of cheap. These are like the 4 trains. These are like the 3 trains. I like 3 trains in 1830. So I'm kind of tempted to get it just to get me more time. So right now this thing is running 1, 2, 3. That's 21 a share. I could be running it I could be running the 3 train to here, which would go up to 24, and then the 2 out of 3, right? I'm not going to be able to get to a port with that. Can't come back down. That would be cheating. So I would have to start here. That would be my pass, and then I would get 90 more, so I'd go up to like 33 a share. I think it's worth buying. I was debating it, but yeah, it looks like it is. And let me figure out my track based on that, because I might want to come out some other direction and do something a little different. Question comes to mind about warranties here. I don't feel like this one deserves, like, a single warranty. I am pretty sure I'm not going to need. There are a fair number of these. What, 3 of them? 3 Ds? 4 Ds? Should be 4. 4 Ds. I don't think I'm going to plow through them. And I would have to plow through them and through these, which kill the B train, to get all the way to this. I don't think even 3 warranties would be getting me an extra run. So definitely not going to buy it there. Some of these companies, hey, maybe they should have bought 2 warranties or something on their B train. I don't know. So far, it doesn't look like it's worth the extra money. My money supply is short, and I would rather not be paying. But if I could guarantee I'm getting an extra run for 50 or $100, it might be worth it. I don't know, for $100 and 1 extra run, I don't know. This one, if you're thinking about the 1833 trains, which it's kind of like, although there are more of these, you would think, well, that's possibly something I don't get to run. It'll probably go. It'll probably run. So I'll hold on to that. The 4 train here, that's the more iffy. That comes with a free warranty for it, which means you might want to buy an extra warranty, because that first free one probably isn't going to matter. And that gets me to the poor Y and N. And let's see, the last couple here, the Y and R, or the Y and N is just pretty much screwed. Running along, chugging along. It started the train rush, but, you know, it's kind of a, I'm screwed no matter what, so fuck it. Let's end it quicker and hasten the trains along. And it might help. But then the next one was the ESR, which did indeed buy another train, running here at the 19 still, but it'll go up, assuming there's trains available. However, then we go to who? We go to the E and H, which managed, it made the decision not to hook up. So we're not going to merge right away with the EU. I don't see much advantage to that local freight synergy right now, do I? Honestly, I kind of do. Jeez. If I wanted to merge, I'd lay this track instead of upgrading this. But instead, I made a little bit more cash. I mean, that synergy is definitely nice, but I don't know. I don't know if I need it. We'll stick with what I've got. That did not buy a train, obviously. It doesn't have a whole hell of a lot of cash, but it did put some more into the treasury there. And that is the end of the operating round and gets us down to here. Let me check the time. We're about time for me to load this one up. So we'll send it up.